Good day everyone, I am Michael, moderator for this webinar. I welcome everyone for today's webinar, which is CP2100 letters, responding and how to avoid them. It's my pleasure to introduce our presenter for today, Jason Dennison. Jason Dennison, LPA, EA is an entrepreneur, tax expert, and CPE presenter. I would now like to hand over the floor to the speaker. Over to you, Jason.
All right. Hello. Thank you very much, and welcome to our webinar on CP2100 letters. CP2100 letters, which is an offshoot of 1099s. There's two types of CP2100 letters. Just which one you get depends on how many error documents there are. In most cases, it's probably going to be a CP2100A. How do you respond to CP2100 notices? The first thing is you don't respond to the IRS. So B notices, let's talk about those next. You send a B notice to the contractor within 15 days of you getting a CP2100 letter. Also, as we discussed, there's no penalty. Sometimes you won't actually need to take any action when you get a CP2100 letter. If there's not an obvious explanation, before you send the B notice, though, you need to determine, is it a first notification or a second notification? First B notice means it's the first time you've had a problem with a contract. And the place to go to get the language is IRS Publication 1281. And then you have second B notices. A second B notice is if it's the second time in a 3-year period that you have received a CP2100 letter for the same contract. That is a second B notice. If you're relying on Social Security cards with these second B notices, you can rely on the Social Security card. If the name and Social Security number combination on the card is different from what's on the CP2100 letter, so some common provisions. Send the B notice within 15 days of receiving a CP2100 letter. The envelope should have the words important tax information enclosed or important tax return documents enclosed. You send the mailing out, it comes back as undeliverable. The business, you, must begin backup withholding on future payments to the contractor. What if you no longer do business with a contractor? That question comes up a lot. The IRS says that you should send a B notice anyway, even if you know that you're not going to be doing business. Let's talk a little about how the IRS does matching on these numbers for generating CP2100 letters or determining that there's a mismatch. So this is taken directly from Publication 1281. Sole proprietors generally work the same way, first 4 letters of the last name. Taxpayer identification number verification, TIN verification, means verifying Social Security numbers and doing this before you file any 1099. So the IRS offers a free service on their e-services portal. Now let's talk about backup withholding now. So first of all, what is it? It is income tax withholding on payment to contract. And there's 4 scenarios where you might need to do backup withholding. This is a common spot of non-compliance. With B notices, if the contractor doesn't respond to your B notice within 30 days and you pay them again, you must do backup withholding. All right, let's talk about the W-9. W-9 is a handy form for gathering information from your contractors. So this is what the form currently looks like. One-person LLCs do not enter the disregarded entities EIN. This means, how is your contractor taxed? LLCs are not corporations. The C stands for company, not corporation. How much responsibility do you have as the recipient for making sure that these forms are correct? The answer is that it's ultimately the contractor's responsibility. How often should you get new W-9s? The IRS has released a draft version of a new W-9. What do you do if you paid somebody as a contractor and you didn't get their Social Security number? Do backup withholding if you don't have someone's Social Security number and you pay them. If you don't have a Social Security number and you're filing without it, you could get hit with a penalty. Well, to avoid penalties for no Social Security number, problem really that you face, though, is it doesn't remove the requirement to do backup withholding if you don't have a social security number. So it's very common that businesses pay people without having social security number. And they do audit it. There was a court case in 2020 called the Quezada case. Here's the issue with not doing backup withholding when you're supposed to. So Quezada fought this in court, and the Fifth Circuit ruled in his favor. So this was a taxpayer-friendly ruling, and webinar attendees have confirmed that they've done this whole file a 1099 with no social security number and no backup withholding, and they do get letters from the IRS about this. So filing corrections to 1099. Other errors that do need corrected. Wrong first names. Why file correction? And that brings us to the end. Thanks so much. And Michael, back to you. All right. Thank you so much.
And so that does conclude the session for today. Thank you everyone for participating. You may all disconnect now. Have a great day ahead. Bye-bye.